you tell me a bit about the background to Infant Mental Health Awareness Week and why it's important?
Yeah, so the week has been running probably for 6 or 7 years on various kind of levels of activity. And we do it basically because infant mental health as a term is a term that a lot of people aren't very familiar with. They don't really understand it or don't feel comfortable using it. So we want to kind of really, I guess, get the language out there and get people kind of talking about infant mental health and really raise awareness of what infant mental health is and why it matters.
What's one thing do you think that professionals can do to remove the baby blind spot in general, and perhaps even more urgently now for our cohort of COVID babies?
I mean, I think things like Infant Mental Health Awareness Week are important because we need to be talking about the fact that babies have mental health. Because I think for some people, there's still that idea that, you know, the baby's in the corner and they haven't really noticed what's going on. They're fine. So there's a bit about kind of that communication that actually babies are very aware of their surroundings, probably more susceptible to them than anybody, and it's going to have a long-term impact. So there's that communications piece to make people take this seriously.
What do you think families could do to address this baby blind spot and advocate for including infants?
Yeah, I mean, there is stuff we can obviously all do as just members of our communities to keep families in mind and to keep babies in mind, and as you know, if services are reduced during lockdown, then perhaps there's more kind of need for communities to step up and identify and support families. I think, I mean, there's also the kind of communities as campaigners. So we've just had a set of local elections in the UK, and we're a very centralised system. So the local elections don't get as much pickup as the national, but actually we know local decisions really matter. They decide whether there's a children's centre in the local area or how resourced the health visiting system is. And there's a lot of variation. Some areas are investing in that and some don't. But, you know, we could create a lot more kind of pressure from our voting communities to hold local decision makers to account for what they're doing. And I think, you know, we do that if the particularly, if the hospital A&E department shuts, or if the bins aren't being collected enough, or the roads are covered in potholes, those sorts of things. People kind of, you know, they get they talk to their local leaders about them, but they don't do it as much for babies. And I think it's kind of expected, it's sort of left to mums and to dads as well to kind of in that period to think about that, and then everybody moves on. You know, you've got your school age kids and you stop worrying about it. There's something about that collective kind of responsibility and collective caring about what's happening for our babies. So it's not so, even though your kids are grown up, or maybe you're a grandparent, you're still kind of asking your local leaders and kind of putting pressure on kind of services or decision makers to think about babies. And if services are closing, you know, you get out there and you write a letter or you do something about it, or you know, to really kind of create that democratic pressure, I think, in services as well. We've got really populist politics in lots of places in the world at the moment. You know, the politicians are doing what they think the people want, so the people have to show them that they want this stuff.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And we all want we all want babies to have the best start in life, because that just benefits all of us, doesn't it? They'll all be, you know, much better children, much more functional adolescents and adults, and contribute to society and you know, have really good health and well-being. So it's everybody's business.